Уважаемые дамы и господа,
Ladies and gentlemen,
дорогие друзья,
friends,
уважаемые коллеги,
distinguished
главы
colleagues,
государств и правительств,
heads of states and
я рад
government,
всех вас
I'm glad
приветствовать.
to welcome all of you.
Начинается
Right
официальная
now,
программа
the official
саммита,
program of
и
the
не
summit
случайно
is commencing, and it's no
в качестве
coincidence
первого
that the
мероприятия
first
предусмотрена
point on our
встреча лидеров
agenda is the
с
meeting
представителями
between
бизнеса
the
России
leaders
и
of our
государств
countries and the
ASEAN.
business communities of Russia and ASEAN countries.
Это дополнительно
It
подчеркивает приоритетное
emphasizes,
внимание, которое
additionally,
все мы
the paramount importance
уделяем
that
развитию
all of us
торгово-экономического
attach to the
сотрудничества
development
между
of trade and
Россией и
economic
ASEAN.
cooperation between Russia
Наша
and
общая
ASEAN
задача
countries. Our
содействовать
common goal
сближению
is to
экономик,
facilitate
укреплять
bringing our
торговые и
economies
инвестиционные
closer, to
связи,
reinforce trade and
создавать
investment ties,
условия
to
для запуска новых
bring
проектов.
about conditions to
Эта
launch
работа
new
ведется и
projects.
будет вестись в
This
тесном
work
контакте
has
с
been done in
предпринимательским
close
сообществом.
contact with the business
Отмечу, что
community.
в прошлом году
Let me
товарооборот России с
emphasize
государствами
that last
ASEAN
year Russia's trade with ASEAN
составил
countries
13,7
stood
миллиарда
at
долларов.
$13.7
Этот
billion
показатель по
US.
сравнению с
This
другими
indicator,
государствами
as compared to
Азиатско-Тихоокеанского
other countries
региона,
of the
выглядит
Asia-Pacific,
достаточно
still
скромным.
seems quite
У ASEAN,
modest.
например, с Китайской Народной
Incidentally,
Республикой 80
ASEAN's
миллиардов
trade
долларов
with
оборот.
China
У нас
is
с Китаем примерно столько же, в
80
России.
billion US,
Не
and
отвечает
Russia's
имеющемуся
trade with
потенциалу
China
и
is
нынешний
almost the
уровень
same.
инвестиционного взаимодействия.
The investment level of
Общий
cooperation
объем
doesn't live up to the
капиталовложений
potential
порядка
either.
11
The
миллиардов долларов.
accumulated volume of
Поэтому
investment
важно
stands at
сообща
about $11 billion
подумать
US.
над тем,
That's
что
why
можно
we have to
сделать, чтобы
think
поправить
together
положение,
about what can be done to rectify the situation, to launch our business cooperation forward. We have to take into consideration that we have accumulated a great experience of implementing joint projects on a bilateral level. Thailand's companies, for instance, invest into the Russian agricultural complex, whereas Vietnam invests into oil and gas exploration, Singapore and Brunei into the innovations, whereas the Russian business is investing into mining of mineral resources in Indonesia and Myanmar, into peaceful atom in Vietnam and Laos. We are going to do that there. We also invest into high technologies in Malaysia. We are confident that we are able to give an additional impetus to further development of our business ties. Russia has drafted a roadmap which enlists 57 concrete projects aimed at establishing joint technological and investment alliances. We can propel to a new level our cooperation in fuel and industry, as well as in countries have an increasingly high demand for hydrocarbons and electricity as well. Russia is willing to satisfy that increasing demand on a long-term basis, supplying energy and fuel. We also can offer you projects of new nuclear power plants. We're also willing to work in electricity in the wide sense of the term. Promising is also our cooperation in transport. The Russian businesses are interested in building modern railways. We are doing exactly that in Indonesia right now. We are implementing a project on the island of Kalimantan, having invested in general $1.9 billion. We also have to introduce a new system of satellite navigation, which we propose should be done on the basis of GLONASS system devised in Russia. Russia is also willing to join initiatives aimed at developing the ASEAN region as a whole. I refer in particular our cooperation with regard to implementing the ASEAN Master Plan for Connectivity, which presupposes the development of energy, transportation, and information infrastructure of the region. We also invite businessmen from ASEAN to participate in priority development projects in the Russian Far East. We have set up 12 territories with preferential regime for businesses. The free port of Vladivostok is now operational as well. Apart from that, we are modernizing the Trans-Siberian Railroad, a large railroad linking the European part of Russia with the Russian Far East, and that is with the Asian region as a whole. We have got down to explore the Northern Sea Route, which is the shortest shipping lane from Asia to Europe. We're also trying to put into place the best conditions for entrepreneurship, relieving administrative and tax burden. We monitor the investment climate in Russia's regions. Last year, we managed to get from the 120th place to the 51st place as far as doing business is concerned. Let me emphasize in particular that our economy has proved that it's resilient in the face of unfavorable economic environment. In this regard, I'd like to say that the anti-crisis measures designed by the government have managed to provide support to the key sectors of economy and maintain the stability of our financial market. We've managed to rein in the unemployment. It's less than 6%. A moderate amount of our external debt, one of the lowest. We also managed to maintain a surplus of our trade balance. It's $160 billion in 2015. The Bank of Russia adhered to a special policy, maintaining a flexible exchange rate, which have managed us to adapt. Our reserves are $391 billion as of May the 1st. As a result, the foreign experts admit that as well. We have hit the bottom in 2015, and right now it's behind us. Colleagues, an increasingly important role in the world economy is played by regional integration associations, the Eurasian Economic Union, whose part Russia is, and ASEAN are introducing single rules for the movement of goods, services, capitals, and labor. The Eurasian Union acts in compliance with the WTO rules. It's a great market with 180 million consumers. Its potential has already been appreciated by our Vietnamese friends with whom we have struck an FTA, Singapore, and we talked about that yesterday with Prime Minister, show interest in that, a number of other countries as well, Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia. I believe there are opportunities to create a common FTA between the Eurasian Economic Union and ASEAN. In future, if we launch it, that is going to be our contribution to establishing an Asia-Pacific FTA. Certainly we're going to talk about that with our counterparts, with the Eurasian Economic Union, with Kazakhstan, with Belarus, with Kyrgyzstan and Armenia. Another promising dimension for regional economic integration is the possible integration of the Eurasian Economic Union, the ASEAN community, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, as well as the economic belt of the Silk Road. I'm confident that the business communities are going to further actively participate in the multidimensional economic cooperation between Russia and ASEAN. In this regard, I'd like to invite everyone who is present here today to the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum to take place in June, on June the 16th and June the 18th, as well as to the Eastern Economic Forum to take place in Vladivostok on September the 2nd, the 3rd this year. Colleagues, I'd like to thank you for your attention. I'd like to wish you fruitful and useful contacts that are promising as far as the development of business is concerned. Thank you for your attention, and it gives me pleasure to give the floor to the Prime Minister of the Lao PDR, Mr. Sisulev, the incumbent chairman of ASEAN, as well as the coordinator for the partnership between Russia and ASEAN. Thank you for your attention. Friends, colleagues, we have gathered here today to mark the 20th anniversary of the dialogue partnership between Russia and ASEAN. 20 years has passed, and we worked together over these 2 decades. We all know that Russia, as well as many other ASEAN countries, have even deeper relations, which date back into history, to distant past. This is a very good groundwork which allows us to develop our relations further, as well as with other countries. We can also develop our relations with countries with which Russia and the Soviet Union didn't have close relationships. We act in a partnership manner, and I'd like to assure you that we're interested in developing our relations. We're going to do everything in our power. And right now, I address the business community. We're going to do everything to put into place favorable conditions for your joint works, joint activities, both in Russia and in ASEAN countries, in joint markets. I should also support what my colleagues from the business community have just spoken about. Certainly, we have to think about greater cooperation. We shouldn't confine ourselves to Russia and ASEAN. We also have to look at what's going on in the world, in the Asia-Pacific, all the positive trends and integration, everything that is going to open up new opportunities to you and to us as representatives of governments. All that is going to be used by us for the sake of economic development, and that is for the good of our peoples and nations. I'd like to wish you success and thank you for your time, for participating in this meeting. And my colleagues, I invite you to take a joint photo. Thank you.